It's time for the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Each week, Trading Stocks Made Easy demystifies stock trading and investing so you can profit big. And now, here's the host of Trading Stocks Made Easy, the wealthy investor, Tyrone Jackson.
And it's Tyrone Jackson, the wealthy investor. Thank you for joining me here on episode number 62 of Trading Stocks Made Easy. So, you want to be rich in the stock market? Well, here's a few things that you need to know. I love talking about money, and I love talking about your consciousness, which is the key to being financially successful. And I love to talk about stocks, research, and how to pick winning stocks. Thus, the name of the podcast, Trading Stocks Made Easy. In today's episode, we're going to talk about your consciousness and your money beliefs by going back to episode number 38, where I had someone on who was extraordinary, Asara Lovejoy, who wrote a book called The One Command. And I got to tell you, wherever I go, people go, I love that episode with The One Command and Asara Lovejoy, where she really gives you the mechanics of how to shift your consciousness so you can literally have more money and financial success in your life. We're going to take a look at that. We're also going to listen to some of my most successful students in one of our Traders Roundtables talk about their philosophy and their thoughts and getting a financial education. If you're a regular listener to this podcast, you know how I feel about becoming financially educated. It's not enough to just say, hey, Tyrone, I want to be rich. You need a mechanism, a modality in order to get there. For some people, it's multi-level marketing. For other people, it's real estate. For me, it was and is the stock market. And then I'm going to mention some stocks to you that I think you should stay away from because they're really not consistent with the idea of wealth building. I can't tell you how many times I've watched a television show and someone says, I have a feeling that this stock is going to go higher. Well, if you really don't know how to research stocks, even with a financial education, your feelings will not be enough to help you become financially successful. You need to understand the story of a stock. Okay, so we have a lot to accomplish here and get started with first your consciousness and then getting past your fears and into researching stocks and understanding their story. We're going to get started with all of those tools right after you take a listen to this.
You're listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Want to learn more about how to trade and invest in the stock market? Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products. That's thewealthyinvestor.net/products and order the Wealthy Investor's Guide to Stock Market Success audio series. This easy-to-follow 5-CD audio series and manual will teach you the basics of how to buy and sell stocks, how to collect quarterly dividends for life, plus hidden income generating strategies like covered call writing and volatility trading. Start creating financial freedom right now. Get the financial education you need to get ahead. Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products.
And welcome back. Episode number 38 of Trading Stocks Made Easy. If you haven't listened to the full episode, make sure you go back and you listen to it. It's just the one episode that we have gotten so much reaction to, in which I had a woman named Asara Lovejoy on, and we shared notes, and she talked about her involvement in the human potential movement and how she's really able to help people shift their consciousness so they can have more wealth, financial freedom, and happiness in their life, and of course, obviously, take actions on the things that are really important to you. But I want to give you a brief clip of that discussion. Again, it's episode 38. She wrote a wonderful book called The One Command, and here's some of what we talked about. I just want to take a moment and describe how you got to where you are today, where you're this well-recognized coach and leader in the idea of shifting your consciousness and manifesting what it is that you really want in life. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you found your way on this path?
I was a product of, you got married in the 60s, but I decided I was going to marry a millionaire, and I did. And so I said, I'm a pretty good manifester. I set my mind to something, and I can do it. A few years later, when we went our separate ways, and I was able to say, it's really great to have money. Money is really valuable. I really love money, and I'm happy to know that that's not what makes your happiness. That is not what creates your joy and satisfaction. So, as I went through life raising my 4 kids and starting my own RV dealership and then getting into the human potential movement, I realized that there were two ways to approach life. And one was to be internally in alignment with what it is that you wanted to accomplish neurologically and biologically, and that all people that are successful unconsciously have done that. And those that are not as successful as others haven't done that. And I loved the ability to show people how to get into alignment with their greatest desire to have their wealth by neurologically and biologically making it real. Well, my experience was going up and down. I'd be very, very successful, then I'd lose it. I'd make it, I'd lose it. I'd make it, I'd lose it. And that was based on an old family program that I got from my family system. So when I broke through that family program, I realized that I could create reality financially for myself. I wrote a book about it called The One Command, and over 500,000 people around the world have read the book, have changed and transformed their lives. And I do online training with executive success coaching and showing people how to use this process to go into a greater part of your intelligence. Well, now, how does this affect you in the stock market? If you're holding fear at all of investing, those fears are subconscious ideas and beliefs. How much more would you be able to quickly make a decision if you were operating in another level of freedom in your thinking?
Well, now, this is really an interesting question. I just want to slow down here for one moment, and I'm just going to share just a little bit about my journey, and then I want to shed some light on you. When I was younger, I guess around 13 or 14 years old, is really when, young people start to experience money because you want sneakers and you want like physical items and all of that. And it was very clear to me that there were some people in our world who had a lot of money and others who didn't. And I became really interested in, for those people who had money, like what was their process? Now, usually, in order to change or open up to new ideas, we have to evolve as people, right? And we have to leave our family programming behind, and we have to embrace something different so that we can begin to manifest this money or happiness or whatever it is that we're actually looking for. In your journey, when did you start to tune into money and wealth and its significance or the role it plays in life for you personally?
Yeah, I have a philosophy that we all are here for a reason. We're all here for a purpose. And it seemed like early on, I think some of the things that we shared was that I was very psychic and intuitive as a child. Mm-hmm. And so I would hear other people's thoughts and feelings, and I would report what I was hearing. I would say to my mom, let's leave. That woman doesn't like you very much. She really isn't very nice. And my mom would shush, be quiet. You got to mind your manners. Don't offend anybody. And so for me, I retreated from, making an effort to change other people's ideas at that point and just went out and played with the animals because they were really sweet. I want to eat, I want to hug, I want to run away. They're real clear about what their intentions are. But I still was on that path. So I did all kinds of research in different philosophies and religions and science of mind and different ways, neurolinguistic programming. And it clicked in with me. I mean, at 14, I wanted to learn hypnotherapy, and I actually put one of my girlfriends under, and she didn't come out and scared me to death.
Oh, wow.
She finally fell asleep. But when NLP came out, I said, I always want to know how the mind works. How does the brain work? How do we create a thought? And I discovered the theta brainwave and how we can shift rather than the slow evolution of mirroring or modeling other people and taking them as examples in our life. And all of that's good to do. That's really good to do, to mirror and model the successful people that you want to be like. But there's this piece of our own intelligence that is so profoundly simple to access that makes a change instantaneously in any thought, feeling, or belief that you're having around money.
Shifting your thoughts and your belief system about what you think is possible is a key to being financially successful no matter what it is that you do. Again, I really love the stock market because anybody, if you open an online trading account, can learn how to trade and invest and be very, very successful. I've also built my reputation on keeping the stock market simple. So there's a lot of terms that can intimidate you, and that's usually taught by people who want you to think they're really, really smart. I personally am not out to impress you with my vocabulary or my intelligence. I really want my students to be successful. So whether you're a student who listens to this podcast or someone who's a member of WI Trade School or one of my live programs, my objective is always to take you into the world of trading and investing, keep it really simple so that you can grasp the concepts and profit each and every month. So here's some of what my students had to say about their shifts in consciousness. They're all making money trading and their journey in the process. And this comes from episode number 59 in what we call a Trader's Roundtable. Take a listen. I just want to go around very quickly to everyone in the group. Rosa, why do you think more people aren't open to the opportunities that come from online trading?
Fear.
Fear of what?
I would say fear of loss and a fear of success. I feel like when it comes to our money, we work very hard for it. So because we think that that's the only way to get money, we don't want to put it at risk. Not really realizing that that fear is holding you back from the success that you need to take in life in general, which includes your money. If you're willing to put your money where your mouth is and then walk those steps and be confident in that, then you'll eventually reach success, but you have to be ready to achieve it.
PJ, there are a lot of people in your family who have a lot of money. Why do you think that they don't want to take the bulls by the horn and handle it themselves?
They don't believe that a person, an individual can do it themselves because they don't have the expertise, and they feel more comfortable giving it to a financial advisor just because of the designations they have after their name. Whether they're a CFA charter holder or they've gone to some other financial advisor class, and so it takes some time, but. My family has definitely come around to it. And actually, I'll tell you a story. I had lunch with a friend of mine today, and I was speaking to him about covered calls. And he said, it doesn't make sense. If it's that easy, why isn't everyone doing it? I said, everyone is doing it. He said, I don't understand. I don't know anyone except you who's doing this. I said, yeah, and that's because you're not surrounding yourself with people that are talking to you about this. I'm telling you these are things that I've done over the last year, and they've made me money, and I'm trying to impart this knowledge to you. And he's like, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, well, come to me with your account. Let me show you. And it's a few clicks. He's like, well, I don't have time. I don't have 4 or 5 hours. I'm like, do you have 15 minutes on Monday morning? He's like, yeah, of course. And I was like, all right, then you can do it.
Right. It's so funny. People fear things they know nothing about. Chris Graham, why do you think more people don't think they can be successful in the stock market on their own?
Us, because we've been trained to think in terms of salaries, and once I get a job, I'll make 40,000, 50,000, and you're good with that. They don't think that they're deserving of it and that they can achieve it because, it's everybody who's a millionaire who've done great things, they're just like you. They put their pants on just like you. It's just you have to have, the drive and the will to want to do it, because a lot of times you just sit around and you're just thinking, and, I'll wait till I hit the number, But in the meantime, what are you going to do? What if you never hit the number? What if you hit the number the day before you die? You're going to pay for the funeral, but, what about the journey up to that point? So I think that's why a lot of people it's just lack of knowledge, and just, educate yourself. And that's what I like about this, that this education is portable. I can go sit on the beach, I can go to California, I can go to Chicago, I can go to Aruba, and I can sit on the beach and I can, do things, whereas if your job, you got to be on Fifth Avenue and 42nd Street every day, and you have to be in that place, so that's why I like it, because it's, you have the education within you, and this knowledge that we all have, all of us sitting here today, is something, even if we don't go another step further, we have this education for the rest of our lives.
So now that you have a sense of these are real people actually making money, what do they have in common? Well, they've all had a shift in their consciousness and their money beliefs. They took a risk, opened an online trading account, and started following a methodology and approach that works, which is mine, which I refer to as the Wealthy Investor Program. So now I want to talk to you about stocks and their stories, because one of the tenets of the Wealthy Investor Program is that you never, ever own a stock without understanding a story. Now, I talked to you a couple of minutes ago in this episode about this whole idea of following a stock and not your feelings. See, when we invest in a stock, we're going to hold it for 2, 3, 5, 10, maybe even 11 years. We must understand the story. So I want to give you 3 stocks right now that I think you should stay away from. Now, let me explain to you why this episode is a slight challenge for me, because I live my life from a positive point of view. And I don't like to talk about negative people, and I don't like to talk about negative stocks. But what I've come to realize is sometimes I have to explain to you stories that just won't work, or investments that just aren't good for you, no matter what your feelings are. So I chose 3 stocks that you probably will recognize the names of. And I want you to stay away from these stocks, not because I don't like the concept, but I don't like the story. And these companies just aren't making money in the stock market. So even though you may recognize the name and you have a feeling that this stock is cheap and it's going to go higher, the story's just not there to support what we call future revenue growth in the company, which means the stock is not going to rise. The first company, which I'm going to ask you to stay away from, is a publicly traded company because I just don't endorse it, which is Twitter. Now, Twitter's ticker symbol is TWRT. And over the last 5 years, Twitter stock has gone from $69 down to $16. Now, if everyone's using Twitter, including a president, why is the stock price going down? And as it stands right now, at the time that I'm recording this episode, Twitter is not able to monetize itself. Now, what does that mean? They're really not able to figure out how to turn tweets or connect tweets to advertising. You see, most online companies have an advertising business model. That means when you tweet or you open your account, you see an ad. The exposure to an ad is something that an advertiser will pay for online. Then there's something called target marketing, where if I just wanted females between the ages of 29 and 39 to see this ad, Twitter would develop a mechanism that would allow for that to be so. Twitter is unable to monetize itself, although it's a product that you may use. The lack of ability to make money from tweets is what's caused the stock price to actually decline and Wall Street to sell it off. The next company you may have heard of is a company called IBM, ticker symbol IBM. Now, this is really tricky because IBM is a member of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which usually means stocks that are members of the Dow Jones Industrial Average have a tendency to rise because these companies do very well at generating revenue and monetizing themselves. Well, over the last 5 years, IBM has gone down from $212 down to $144 a share. So you're starting to get the picture. You really can lose money in the stock market. The problem with IBM is they've invested billions and billions of dollars in something called the cloud. I was at a teleconference the other day, and someone says, I have no idea what the cloud is. And essentially, if I'm going to keep it really simple for you, the cloud basically means data storage. So it could be voice, images, video, just plain old data. And what large corporations are doing are going to small and medium-sized businesses and say, hey, we'll store that data for you somewhere on our servers, and we refer to that storage as the cloud. Now, the reality is most of these servers are buried hundreds of feet underground, so even if there was some extraordinary incident, that data would be protected. IBM, again, has invested billions of dollars in their cloud services, and they're unable to compete for a series of complex reasons. IBM is unable to compete with a company like Microsoft, for example, which is doing very well in their cloud services. So therefore, because they're unable to really compete and monetize the cloud, put together a package that small businesses would be interested in purchasing, their revenue, the amount of money that the company is making on a quarterly basis, is starting to decline. And when their revenue declines, the stock will go down. You see, even what I'm doing right now is financially educating you on understanding a company's story and in relationship to how much money that they can earn and the trend of the stock. So generally, when a stock is going down, it's connected to revenue, the amount of money that a company is actually making. And if that revenue is falling, Wall Street will sell off the stock. Traders will stop trading it. Investors will stop buying it for the long term. Now, I always find it funny that there are always some people who say, oh my God, now the stock is cheaper. I want to own it. No, you don't. Not if revenues are declining. Even in a Dow stock, Tyrone, even in a Dow stock. Now, the next company that gets people really excited and really emotional because they think it's a ground floor opportunity is a company called Snapchat, ticker symbol SNAP. Makes sense, doesn't it? Well, Snapchat debuted when it went public less than a year ago at $27.09. At the time of this recording, the stock is down to $13.66. But Tyrone, I have a feeling the stock is going to go higher. Not when you're trading or investing in the stock market. You never want to purchase stocks that are cheap, that you think are going higher, if the revenue is declining. Well, Snapchat hasn't been publicly traded for that long, but we're learning more and more about the company and its ability to make money. You see, just because it's a great idea and it's used by people around the world doesn't mean the company is successfully monetizing itself. So therefore, that explains the drop or lack of confidence in Snapchat. So the stock price has gone from $27.09 down to $13. Now, the other reason that I don't prefer Snapchat right now, it could change in the future, is because when the company actually went public, they took the voting rights away from the shareholders. So let me just explain that to you. So basically, when you own shares in a publicly traded company, you get something on a regular and consistent basis called a proxy. And when the company makes major policy, they have to get permission from the shareholders. Now, obviously, if I am a very large shareholder and a policy issue is up for vote, I can influence the outcome simply because I just own so many shares. When you're a smaller shareholder, you still have a vote, but your vote obviously doesn't count as much as a billionaire who may own 1.5 million shares of a particular company. Well, when a company goes public, it can decide whether or not the shareholders have voting rights. And I think that this was a major miss on the insiders at Snapchat, because when you take away the voting rights of shareholders, you stop large institutions from actually caring and owning your shares. So as I always like to say in the Wealthy Investor Program, stocks for us are dates. And there are good dates and there are bad dates, right? So we always want to date a company whose revenue is rising and whose story we understand because we understand how a company makes money. Another way to express that is how a company can monetize itself. So you see in just these few minutes how supremely important getting a financial education really is. It's not enough to have an online trading account. You must understand the stories of a particular stock. And when those stories change, you're either going to buy more shares or sell off the shares that you own and move on. Now, a lot of people say, hey, Tyrone, I don't know of such a place where I can actually go and study the market. Well, that's why you have the Wealthy Investor Program. There's an online version of the Wealthy Investor Program called WI Trade School, where I explain these stories to you on a regular and consistent basis. And unlike this podcast, you're actually able to send in a question on our weekly Q&A inside Trade School, and I will answer them. Now, Trade School has been tremendously successful for its subscribers, and I'm very proud of that, because if you're one of those people who don't like to do a lot of research, isn't it nice to have stories explained to you in simple terms so that you can make a proper investment decision? The answer, of course, is yes. So if you have yet to join WI Trade School, you probably want to do so, right now. Or you can continue to research stocks on your own and stick with stories that you like as long as they're making you money. Back with more Trading Stocks Made Easy right after this.
You're listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Want to learn more about how to trade and invest in the stock market? Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products. That's thewealthyinvestor.net/products and order the Wealthy Investor's Guide to Stock Market Success audio series. This easy-to-follow 5-CD audio series and manual will teach you the basics of how to buy and sell stocks, how to collect quarterly dividends for life, plus hidden income generating strategies like covered call writing and volatility trading. Start creating financial freedom right now. Get the financial education you need to get ahead. Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products.
So my hope is, as always, you understand the significance of shifting your financial mindset, changing your money beliefs about what's possible. I also hope that you always get some motivation from the students who appear on this show. They are real people, I assure you, just like you. And the most important thing is that you want to learn how to research stocks as part of your financial education. I really don't like stock tips too much because a lot of times people offer stock tips for a stock that may be going up very quickly and then not going anywhere in the future. I'd rather teach you how to, on a sustainable basis, participate in the stock market, increase your wealth and your residual income through trading, and build long-term positions. Why? That is a system that has worked over and over and over. It has proven itself over time. Tyrone Jackson, a wealthy investor, saying thank you for joining me here for another episode of Trading Stocks Made Easy. I always wish you the best. Keep an open mind and a positive attitude, and positive experiences and people will always come your way.
You've been listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Be sure to rate and review our show on iTunes. While you're on iTunes, be sure to click the subscribe button and you'll automatically receive our next episode.